Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 6 of Magik, written by Ashley Allen and art by Jesus Hervis. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. Up to this point, Ileana survived a horrific childhood in Limbo and even became its monarch. But to be free, Magik passed her crown to Madelyne Pryor, the Goblin Queen. Recently, Magik fought the demon Liminal, and though Liminal was defeated, someone she cared for paid the price, leaving Magik to wonder if she's doomed to hurt people. So with that said, this issue opens up in the Limbo Embassy in Manhattan. And when we get there, Madelyne's assistant went on to say, "Forgive my boldness, your majesty, but this rebel group poses a real threat to your legitimacy as Goblin Queen. The internal affairs of Limbo." To that, Madelyne went on to say, "Can't wait, I have far bigger threats to manage today." A mutant queen of a demonic realm is unsurprisingly drawing concern from the United Nations. If they take action, I will not have a nation to rule. I will ensure those rejected by the world will continue to find refuge here. They will not threaten us. I trust you have prepared the necessary resolution." And right when Madelyne said that, she reached for a door and grabbed the handle as a clicking sound caught her attention. And at that moment, on the next page, a massive explosion went off. So as the embassy went up in flames, we then transitioned over to a national park in Minnesota. And when we get there, we spot Magik and some of her X-Men team wrapping up as she narrates to herself, "Dani hasn't contacted me once about Cal. I hate feeling in the dark, but Cyclops understands I need a distraction. I'm grateful for his endless wave of missions." With that out there, Psylocke went on to say, "I hope these are the last of Liminal's demons. You were right to involve us with the cleanup." Then Juggernaut followed up and said, "Psylocke is right. It's also a great excuse for the X-Men to get away from Alaska for a while, despite being surrounded by Pauline." And with those words, Juggernaut let out a sneeze, right before Magik got a mental alert. And when it hit, we got a narration saying, "For a moment, something burns at the back of my mind. The mental pain, something was wrong with the embassy. Now, I've accepted my connection to Limbo will never truly be severed. I thought I had made the right choice putting Madelyne in charge. But looking at this destruction, I think I made a mistake." So with no time to waste, Magik portaled to where the embassy once stood just as Madelyne broke free. And once out, the Goblin Queen collapsed in fatigue as Magik caught her in her arms as her narration continued to say, "Madelyne is Jean Grey's clone, with access to telepathy, telekinesis, and sorcery. What was strong enough to harm her?" So with that question posed, Madelyne quickly started to put her subjects back in line as she commanded them to kneel. And just to ensure there were no spies among her ranks, she started to look into their minds and discovered that someone had rigged her office with explosives, which in her eyes was a pitiful assassination attempt. Following that, Madelyne got to work repairing her home as she said, "My aide was correct. I must deal with Limbo's internal affairs. I didn't want to involve you, Ileana, but if you must bulldoze your way in, at least come inside." To that, Magik replied by saying, "I didn't give up Limbo's crown to isolate you. I did it to get away from the hellish realm I grew up in. Krakoa gave me a new start. Figured you'd appreciate the same. I'm always here to help. Limbo should never be one person's responsibility. But at this current moment, it is one person's, it's Madelyne's." Now on a side note, Magik's narration suggests that the two women are really alike in several ways. The narration stated, "Madelyne was created by Mr. Sinister to be a tool like I was shaped by Belasco. I see a kindred spirit in her." Following that, Madelyne went on to say, "It's already been a day. Come, let's talk where prying eyes cannot see. Some of my subjects don't appreciate the nuances of the time I spend in New York. They think that I neglect my duties in Limbo in favor of humanity. This was a warning. They want me dead and my relationship with the city destroyed." To that, Magik replied by saying, "You should have called sooner." But to Madelyne's point, she shot back by saying, "Help from the previous queen of Limbo? Do you think so low of me?" And right when she said that, the news reporters started to move in, which as you may have guessed, is something a person in Madelyne's position doesn't want to have happen. So with a wave of her hand, she sealed the windows close as she went on to say, "It was a mistake to discount this rebel group's tenacity. My intel says they're creating a weapon to rival my Scythe of Sorrows or your Soul Sword. Individually, they're too weak." Then Magik chimed in and continued Madelyne's trail of thought and said, "But collectively, they might be able to lay claim to Limbo. How did you let this slip past you?" Now this question pissed Madelyne off, as she went on to say, "Don't pin this on me. I have been far more active of a ruler than you ever were. Unlike you, I will not give up my claim to Limbo." With her dedication made clear, Magik took a playful bow and said, "Well then, I guess you have it covered." Still, I hope you don't mind me tagging along. After you, Your Highness. And once they were in, Madelyne points out it has been a while since she has been there, but regardless of what she tries to do, the castle just seems to rebel against her in even the tiniest aspects. Now, once inside, Madelyne's servants lowered to their knees as she ordered them to summon her war council, for they had a guest. So with that explained, on the next page we pick up in the war council chamber with Madelyne saying, "What information have you gathered about the rebels' ritual?" And to that, the first member of the council went on to speak up and say, they've used ancient magic to hide the location of their leaders from detection. However, a scouting mission revealed there in the ravine of the wastes. To this, Madelyne replied by saying, that's only a few hours away. Why hasn't this been dealt with? Now this statement wasn't lost on Magik as she sat back and watched, for her narration went on to say, they question her every move. If Madelyne can't keep up, I'll have to step in. So with that out there, Magik answered Madelyne's question by saying, they cannot act without the approval of the monarch. You haven't been in Limbo. So with the silent part spoken out loud, Madelyne then went on to say, I won't be questioned by my own council. Gather a battalion to surround the area, I will not have them escape. With Madelyne's words spoken, the war council just sat there without moving and turned their attentions towards Magik to wait for what she had to say. To which, Magik stated, oh, now you want my opinion. Now this sign of disrespect pissed Madelyne all the way off, as she shouted, you dare question my orders? You say you require the approval of your queen. Well, she is here. And in a show of complete disrespect, another general spoke up and said, forgive us, your majesty, but Ilyana Rasputina holds the soul sword. She was forged in this realm. She equally holds the right to rule. Now with that point made clear, Madelyne stormed out of the chamber, and once she was gone, Magik coldly spoke up and said, newsflash, I gave up the throne. When Maddie gives you an order, I expect you to follow it. Send the battalion to back us up, or don't, but know there will be consequences. I haven't forgotten your hospitality when I was younger. With that threat in the air, Magik went on to chase the Goblin Queen. And once she caught up, Madelyne went on to say, this is why I didn't want to involve you. I'm familiar with the ways of Limbo. Power is taken from you the minute you're judged unfit. So just to clear the air, Magik went on to clarify that she wasn't trying to undermine her. To which Madelyne replied by saying, this realm reflects me more than it ever did you. I'm used to things being stolen away from me. I refuse to let this pitiful rebel faction do the same. With that said, we fast forward to the ravine of the waste with a narration from Magik saying, this is what I think of when I think of Limbo, a barren wasteland devoid of hope. Maybe it's fitting that I'm back here. So with that said, the rebel demon went on to say, our mortal queens ruled by forging a connection with Limbo. Their weapons are a direct manifestation of their sovereignty. It was when I saw the Goblin Queen forge her scythe of sorrows that I had my epiphany. Why don't we tear the very fabric of Limbo and create a blade to claim our collective birthright to rule? The witch is distracted, and Belasco's child refuses to step foot in Limbo. They are divided, both will fall by the end of the day to Gar-Chen the alchemist. With the rebels all in one place, on the next page, both Magik and Madelyne descended upon them, and as they dropped, Madelyne said, what a monologue, I heard you had a few complaints about the management. Well, I'm all ears. Despite these demons being completely outclassed, one of them refuses to quote-unquote lower himself to speak to humans. Because, according to them, humans are their playthings, not rulers. So with the fight on, one of the demons told Magik, we hold equal claim to the weapon, Fallen Queen, your Brittlewood sword holds no power in this battle. This sword eats the power of your blade. Now this prompted Magik to reply with, but can it eat all my power? And then Magik turned to Madelyne and said, the Fallen Queen is catchy, maybe I can get the X-Men to start calling me that. And in annoyance, Madelyne replied by saying, your snark is starting to get old, I have no clue how the X-Men tolerate it. And with a smile on her face, as she leaped into battle, Magik continued to say, what can I say, I'm efficient at what I do. It's not snark if you can back it up. And once she made contact, Magik then went on to narrate, saying, I can sense Maddie's annoyance, maybe I'm being harsh. But if she can't deal with me, how will she ever control Limbo? I want to trust Maddie, but I can't have another invasion, we just cleaned up Liminal's mess. Now none of Magik's inner narrations went without notice, because Madelyne pointed out that she could read her mind. So with that out there, Madelyne shot back by saying, are your concerns with me, or with yourself? But before that question could be answered, a gigantic demon blindsided Madelyne, and before she knew it, she was being held up, as the leader of the rebels said, your telepathic abilities might be able to sense the weaker of us, my dear queen, but you forget that our spell quiets our leadership's location. You rely so much on that mental noise that you forget to look behind you, which is a costly mistake. So before the demon could deliver his attack, Magik's inner narration went on to say, "No, not again, no one else will be hurt because of my actions." He summons the blade just like I do with my soul sword. Yet the fabric of Limbo has always been woven through my mutant ability, which I accept now. Does the same apply to its weapon? So in a leap of faith, Magik started to summon the demon's sword to her as she would do to her own, and as she did it, she said, "This sword was forged from the negative emotions of Limbo's residents. It is a collective. You should know that I have plenty of bad memories associated with this place." To that, the demon stated, "You are a resident of Limbo no longer." But that didn't matter at all, because Magik is something like a prodigal daughter. So with both blades in Magik's hands, she then went on to say, "Names have power in Limbo, and you have not named this sword. Your claim has not been solidified. I forged my soul sword from the benevolence and hoped that Limbo could not snuff out in my soul. But this blade is its opposite. It consumes all magic in its path to grow stronger. Behold, the Wrath Sword." So as the demon lay defeated, he stated in defiance that, "You think this is over, I will be a martyr. I am Belasco's true successor. A rebellion is rising, and I have equipped them with more than enough to take you down." Now that statement didn't faze Magik at all because she replied by saying, "I look forward to it. Maybe I'll get to add a few more weapons to my collection." And just to make sure this fight was over, Madelyne took hold of the creature's head and said, "I've stunned the neurons connected to his muscles. It's temporary, but he'll be immobilized until we transport him to the dungeons." And then Madelyne stood to her feet and continued to say, "After this fiasco, I guess you want Limbo back." To that, Magik just smiled and answered her by saying, "You think I want Limbo back? Because of one mistake? Madelyne, I caused an invasion of Earth when I was in control." Which was something Madelyne did as well, but that sidebar only led Magik to say, "I'm in good company then. I gave you Limbo, but I want to make sure you can handle it. This realm breaks even the best of us. I don't want my healing because you harm." With this heart-to-heart, Madelyne started to open up and said, "I want Limbo. I thought this entire time that you wanted back control." Now this couldn't be further from the truth, because Magik was enjoying her freedom way too much. With that cleared up, Madelyne said, "I understand, and I will involve you earlier next time. You are always welcome here." This statement right here led Magik to say, "Maybe in the future, but I made a mistake that also cost someone their freedom. I need to make that right." Then Madelyne said, "I'm always here to lend a shoulder. You aren't alone. I believe Scott and your team would tell you something similar." So while the two women bond, Magik's inner narration goes on to say, "In this place that has brought me so much despair, hope begins to bubble up just as it did when I was a child. I know what I need to do now." Following that, we transition over to the Society of the Eternal Dawn's headquarters, where we see a woman making her way to a telephone. A phone with Dani on the other end, and upon answering, the woman said, "It is so good to hear from you. I was wondering when you'd call." To that, Dani said, "Embodiment, I need your help. Liminal was imprisoned, but at the cost of using Cal as a living seal." Now this news did not come as a shock to the woman, because she stated, "I understand. I feared Callan's bloodline might be used as a last resort. Of course, you can stop by. My hunters are always welcome back home." And with that said, this issue of Magik comes to an end. Now down in the comment section below, let me know your thoughts about this issue and what predictions you could have moving forward. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.